This is the third septenary of the major arcana or trump cards of the Morgan-Greer deck. And the meanings that I have been taught, other people may have other interpretations, and all the interpretations work as long as they work in the reading for you. Let's go on now, continuing. This is part 3 of the major arcana. This is card number 15, called the Devil. In some decks it's called Pan. In how I was taught, this is everything rotten, greed, lust, lies, evil influence, people that can get good people to do bad things. When I've read for my clients, a lot of times this may come up when their kids are making friends with people that are teaching them to use drugs and alcohol or do illegal things, or it's just a bad influence, a very bad influence. Now, in the Aleister Crowley deck, the devil may mean plugging right into the universe and total rebellion against the matrix and things we were taught and dogma. So this can have a lot of different meanings. You have to look at what's going on with your client and what's going on in the cards in the reading, how this falls. But typically I was taught that this is everything rotten, this is an evil influence. Moving on, okay, the Tower. This is card number 16, and the Tower is everything, losing everything. This is complete loss, trauma, bankruptcy, divorce, everything. The complete rug gets pulled out from under the person. You see the tower's burning here, the people are falling out, the water's rushing in, the elements. It has no grounding, nothing holding it. So you've got the lightning striking. So you've got the fire, you got the water element, the wind, and the grounding is gone. The clouds are rushing in. A lot of sorrow. This is a pretty serious card. And when I read for people, when this card comes up, I tell them, you know, look, in order for something new to be created, sometimes things need to be destroyed. So hold on to your hat and think of how you can work to overcome this, and that once things are destroyed, there's always a new beginning. So it's not necessarily a bad card. It is a pretty horrible card to get in a reading, though. It's just total devastation, and but yet there's always a silver lining after the storm. So there's always hope and things you can do about it, things you can respond to it. Okay, moving on to the Star. The Star has a few different meanings. The Star is the way shower. It's also a decision. See how, like, she's pouring water into the water and water into the land. It's also, if you look at the background, you can see that there's a bird here in the tree, and then over here there's nothing growing in the garden where there's a flower here, but the grass looks greener on the other side. So this is a decision for someone who makes about the grass being greener on the other side. This card often comes up when I have a client who is tempted to cheat in their marriage, or their spouse is tempted to cheat because the grass is greener. So there's a way to respond to this, but this is a decision that needs to be made. Decision. And also the Star is a way shower, to show the way for the decision that is pending or upcoming. Okay, moving on to the Moon. This is card number 18. It's called the Moon. And you see two towers, one's round, one is square. The dogs are baying at the moon, and you have the water and the crayfish or the scorpion coming out. This is direct, and the moon also being full. This is a lot of psychic power. A lot of psychic power. It could also be depression, because how do you walk in between the baying dogs and the towers? It's a barren landscape. It's kind of scary, but it's walking through the fear shamanically. And it has an ability, when the shaman dies to death, so to speak, there is I counsel my clients that there could be an imagination that goes wrong. And there could be a martyred energy of why me. This is where you face your fears and walk through, knowing that the moon and your psychic ability do illuminate the way. So this has to do with making sure, and this can cause a lot of depression as well. We know that the moon influences the water levels, and it can influence the water levels in the brain. So, and people who have worked in hospitals and psychiatric hospitals report that people do have problems with their whatever illness they're suffering through, that the problems get worse. So the water levels being affected, the energy of the emotion being affected by the moon, and knowing that when we are about to break through and have an acute psychic experience, to allow this to understand it's an invitation to evolution, that we may become more creative and come from a higher octave in an evolutionary sense, spiritually. So this is something that we have to embrace and move on and not be afraid to pick up our power. Okay, and these are the greater trumps. These cards are amazing. The Sun, number 19. I just love this card. Look at that. You've got a girl and a boy. You've got a brick wall in the back. That's a secure foundation, secure home, happiness. The sunflowers represent the food to eat. There's energy here. The sun is shining brightly. Protection, happy home. Bottom line, this is a nice, happy home, security, and depending upon where it falls in the reading, this has to do with reaching that solid foundation, having our needs met, food, clothing, shelter, and beyond, having happiness, going beyond that. Okay, card number 20, Judgment. Okay, card number 20 is Judgment. Judgment is an interesting card. You see these people, it's like a resurrection, coming out of the grave with the trumpet blowing, and it's a dramatic card. And basically this has to do with karma. What comes around goes around. Notice how the man is boasting, look at me, look at me. She's covered up with shame and the child is innocent. So this speaks to the innocence, getting to that childlike innocence. So we don't want a boastful energy, we don't want a shameful energy, but we want a balance. Understanding that rather than being the exception to things, and look at me, or I'm the exception, becoming exceptional through our innocence, getting to that innocent childlike quality again. Okay, last card, last but not least in the journey that will begin where it ends and ends where it begins, is the World. This is triumph, deserved reward. The eagle flies, the lion has strength. You can see the eagle here. This is the eagle, this flies. The lion has strength. The bull is that stubborn groundedness, and the man is tall, and the woman balances. The woman balances the energy between the men and the children. That's how this card would represent the world just opening up finally. And that completes the lesson in the major arcana of the Morgan-Greer deck. Thank you so much for watching. This is Things Unspoken 111.